Good morning, good afternoon, I think. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be answering your questions about how I got into UX design and how I aced my interview first try. I have a flight to London in 24 hours that I have not prepared for at all. I don't even know where my passport is. But that's not what this video is about. This video is about helping you. I'm not gonna lie, I am a busy woman. I've got to find my passport and I've got to pack my bags. So I'm gonna be answering your questions while I do some other stuff. Multitasking queen. Let's go. One of the questions that I got on my channel was, how did I even get the interview in the first place? They didn't phrase it like that, because that would be cheeky. How'd you even get your interview in the first place? I got my interview by networking. If there's one thing you take from this video, auto apply function. It never got me anywhere. The second that I just tried to make a genuine connection with someone, ditch the formality and just genuinely ask someone in your local area who's in the industry you want to get into, hey, can you give me some advice on my work and my portfolio and how I can get into the industry? How do I do what you do? That's when I started to see actual traction and progress with getting an interview. If you watch my Changing Careers video, you'll know that I reached out to someone on LinkedIn in my local area who was in UX design, and I asked them to meet me for a coffee and just look at my portfolio and give me some advice, and they agreed, and that's literally how I got my job. Another question I got was, I'd love to know how you go about practicing presenting your project for better rehearsal and a smoother interview. So my interview was in two stages. Number one was sussing out who you are as a person and your experience, and the second part of the interview was a design task where they assigned me an app that already exists and asked me to redesign it. Set a timer for 2 minutes into your presentation and ask yourself a question. Like, put yourself in their shoes and ask yourself a question. Practice going off topic in your presentation. Obviously you rehearse a million times over and over, but the different thing that I did was that I was lucky enough to know the names of who was going to be interviewing me. And so I did a little bit of stalking. I looked at their career history and I used that career history to sort of preempt what sort of questions they were going to ask me. All right, next question. The first stage of the interview was 3 hours long and someone said, 3 hours? How did you feel about it? Isn't it too much? How did I feel about the interview lasting that long? I think it was fine. I think that's a good amount. And in reality, UX design interviews, I've heard they go for much longer. I've heard they can go for like 6 hours. Next question. Can you tell us, how did you learn, where did you learn, and how much time did you learn? So how did I learn? I guess technically self-taught with UX design, but I do have prior design experience, which helped. I used to be a tattooist before the pandemic, and then I transitioned into a marketing and web design role. And that's when I found about UX design, and that's when I decided that's what I wanted to get into. I went on LinkedIn and looked up UX designer, and I looked at all the job descriptions and saw the necessity requirements of what you need to know, and Figma always came up. You needed to know Figma and Sketch. And so I sat down, I was like, what the fuck is Figma? After work, I'd sign off, and then I'd go straight onto my laptop again and learn Figma and make apps. Like, I'd make a concept in my head. Like, for instance, I made a cocktail suggestion app that would use the ingredients that you had in your cupboard, you input them, and then it suggests you a cocktail every night, like a random one, when you don't know what to drink. Where did I learn? So I guess this question is alluding to a boot camp. I did not do a boot camp. I learned the basics in my previous job and I self-taught the rest. Like, YouTube is a fountain of knowledge. How much time did I learn in? Design principles I've been doing since I was very young, because I was raised in a family of tattoo artists. I've been tattooing since I was 17. Basic design composition and communicating with a client on a vision and making that vision a reality, almost a decade. And then my previous job doing web design, that was about a year or so of doing that. How do I generate my project ideas? So, you know, when I reached out to the guy on LinkedIn and we met up and I said, can you give me some advice on my portfolio? The way that I generated project ideas for that portfolio was I thought about things in my daily life that kind of frustrated me or annoyed me, and I designed a solution to them. The plant shop app. I designed that just for fun because I kind of thought to myself, wouldn't it be awesome to have a Facebook marketplace for plants? Another thing that I want to add about how my design interview went so smoothly is that I was a good culture fit. You're not going to be an amazing culture fit for every company. It is a bit like dating. One of the reasons why my interview went so smoothly is because they thought I'd gel well with the other team members' personalities. And unfortunately, not every job you apply for is going to be a good culture fit. My X job, everything was very formal. It was very traditional. We had the boss and you had the subordinates. It didn't gel well with me. That's just one of the reasons why your interviews might not be going so smoothly, is because you're just not a good culture fit. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, the birds and the bees. No, wait, that's not right. There's many more fish in the sea. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why my interview went so smoothly, is because of the great culture fit. And that you can't really control. So I'm gonna bring some pajamas with me because I'm staying at my parents' tonight. Their place is super close to the airport, so I won't have to travel very far in the morning. Laptop and laptop charger. I'm gonna be vlogging this trip, so I'll take some camera gear. Another question on one of my videos was, did I go through schooling to get into tech? I went to college and university. I have a bachelor's degree in business studies. So to answer the question, I didn't go through schooling to get into tech. I just wanted to pick a degree that would allow me to have as many options as possible, and that's what business really is, or was to me. What do I use to draw wireframes on? I use Figma and Procreate on iPad. Now these are some more generalistic questions. Someone asked me on my thoughts on boot camps and if I think they're worth it. I personally don't think boot camps are worth it. If you have zero knowledge on design and it's not a big expense to you, then sure, go ahead. That's me pretty much packed. One more. Do I have a mentor? When I was learning, I wouldn't say I had a mentor just because I self-taught, and I think if I reached out to someone to be my mentor, there wouldn't be enough substance there for them to agree. But now that I am in UX design and I have my job and I've been assigned to a project in my job, I'm working really closely with this older UX designer who's really experienced, and I'm learning a lot from him and his process. So I would say now, yeah. Weirdly enough, now that I'm in UX design, yes, now I do have a mentor, which is kind of a weird way to go about it. So yeah, I have to go now. I'm gonna take all my stuff that I packed over to my parents' place. And if you have any more questions about my UX design experience, my interview, I'll be happy to answer them in a future video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.